here. Cut the music, Frank. It's incredible to see so many people here tonight. I'd hoped, I suppose, in the back of my mind to maybe have 30 people, but we were optimistic and put out 50 seats, and we've more than doubled that in numbers. So firstly, thank you all very much for coming out and coming here tonight to hear what these gentlemen have to say. I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to Pasang and Mingma, who've travelled here from Nepal, and Kilo Rolakon, who's working with them now in the Central Himalayas. I first met Pasang in Scotland when I was on a climbing trip, and I got to know him since then a lot better, and I've gotten to know Mingma very well. I worked closely with the lads, as did so many other Irish people, when we were fundraising after the recent earthquakes in Nepal, and they will talk a little bit about that in a while as well. I'm very privileged to get to know these guys, and I'm very privileged to have them here in County Clare. Keane has worked hard to organise a trip around Ireland of talks and presentations. They've got to make some great Irish friends, and it gives them the opportunity to meet them in Ireland and to spend some time with them and to meet their friends and their neighbours and to tell them their story. In the world of mountaineering, Nepal is undoubtedly the best place in the world for mountaineering. In Nepal, the Himalayas is the most amazing place and the best place for mountaineering in Nepal. To put it into perspective, the calibre of these guys within the Himalayas are the greatest mountaineers in the world operate, and within that community, the Sherpa community, are undoubtedly the champions of mountaineering. Now, that is undisputed, but I have full confidence in saying that within the Sherpa community, the people that we have here with us tonight are two of the best regarded Sherpas. They're very, very humble people. They stay below the radar all their lives. They spend their lives allowing people like Keane and me and many others to fulfill our dreams in climbing amazing mountains, and nobody climbs in the Himalayas without the Sherpa community. But Mingma and Pasang have had an amazing career in the mountains of Nepal and of the Himalayas. Mingma having climbed Everest 19 times and Pasang 9 times, but with so many other stories behind all that. And as an Irish amateur climber, I'm very lucky to have gained access to be able to climb with these people, and Kino Bolakon is the key contact there. Up until a number of years ago, Mingma and Pasang both worked with the big companies, the Jagged Globes and all the American companies and Canadian companies and Australian companies, and as I said, they really stayed below the radar. Everyone, the leaders within those companies and all the clients within those companies were always hailed the heroes. And these guys always stay below the radar, but thankfully now, with the encouragement of Keane and the support of Keane, Mingma has now set up his own company, Ascent Himalayas. It's operating with just a number of years, and so many Irish climbers have started working with them. In fact, the first year they operated, their first client and their only client that year was a guy called Peter O'Connell from Galway. He was the first person from Connacht to climb Mount Everest. And that was Mingma's humble start of his company with one client that year. This past year they'll talk about their expeditions, but they've had many expeditions on some great mountains and with great success. In relation to Peter, and this is just a little side story and gives credit to Mingma and his experience on the mountains. In relation to Peter, that particular year was another tough year on Everest, and it didn't work out well for many people, but Mingma foresaw that there was a problem arising in terms of too many people pushing for the summit at the same time. There was just one weather window forecast by most companies, but Mingma managed to forecast a second opportunity, and he held Peter back, which very few companies would have been willing to do, because they know that it could be the frustration of their client. He held Peter back until that second weather window, because he could foresee the problems that arose. That first weather window caused a lot of problems and loss of life. And it was a tragic time on the mountain. But the second weather window, Peter had the mountain very quiet, very much to himself, and we managed to allow him to climb to the top unharmed. And the main thing, of course, brought him back home in one piece. So the Irish people, as I said, have developed forged a strong link with these two great men. And most recently, I was there with Keane and with another guy, Gavin. We climbed this mountain here in the background. We were part of this expedition. We climbed down with the Blam in the background there. They then stayed on, Gavin then stayed on to climb another mountain, Annapurna 1. Annapurna 1 is the most dangerous mountain in the world. It's a 38% death rate. And this is where these guys work. They work in these dangerous environment with a 38% death rate, allowing Gavin to take his best shot at it. Unfortunately, it didn't work out in terms of weather and conditions, but again, they make the right decisions and they get people home safe. So their first client was an Irishman, their last client was an Irishman. Their biggest client base is from Ireland, and then we have the additional connection with the work and they'll talk a little bit about that, the work that Ireland did in fundraising for Nepal and fundraising for their community within Nepal. So one final bull of us to welcome the guys, and then I'll hand you over to Keane.